Some friendly little casual announcements. I know I've been talking about it on the internet, but I was laid off. And I'll try to not use as many sound effects this episode. Your girl got laid to the mother off. I've been keeping this podcast topic in my pocket because I knew it was going to piss off the people I worked with. And at this point, I don't really know if I can actually count on a recommendation. So recommendations and letter of referrals aside, the podcast topic is going to be decentering work. With decentering work in mind, I want to acknowledge that obviously not everybody can do that. Topic of the day is decentering work. And I want to talk about this because it wouldn't have been safe for me to talk about it while I worked at my job. It's just not that type of company culture. They expect more from you. Dev says, was talking about it related to getting laid off, or was the company having management issues? So when I got laid off, I was told that it was because they were having very specific financial issues. Yeah, they said that they had to eliminate the roles. I'm ready to decenter work and decenter talking trash about them and the need to talk trash about them. I'm like actively reminding myself, whatever happened at that workplace is not real at this point. The only thing that is real is me, my surroundings, my cat that's right next to me, the people in my chat, turning on this TikTok live stream phone, turning on that Twitch live stream. Yeah, that's what's real. So yeah, let's get into it. When you tell people to decenter work, depending on their boss or their relationship with work, their buttholes get tight. They do not like to hear that. They think that like you're telling them to do something illegal or do something that's like out of bounds or something that will make you hateable. If you work 60 hours a week or you signed up to a job that says that you have to work 60 to 80 hours a week, decentering work is not an option for you. That's fine. Maybe this is not for you. But for everybody else, for the people who maybe signed up for 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week, you see yourself doing free labor after hours when there should be maybe a night shift person, or maybe you're getting crazy phone calls and text messages when you are off the clock. Your work can't just stay the fuck at work. You're not allowed to behave like a severed individual. If you are somebody who thinks that way, and you're not somebody who's already signed up to 60-hour work weeks and 80-hour work weeks on paper, you don't work at Tesla, I'm so sorry to say this, but it's usually traumatized people who have people-pleasing tendencies, who think that you can't decenter work and that you're not allowed to decenter work. I'm not of the full mindset that we don't owe anybody anything, but you owe yourself to not be exploited. But yeah, I'm sorry to diagnose you guys as traumatized. Obviously, I don't have a medical background, but just from what I'm seeing too, it's also people who lack professional work experience, who know what it looks like to be in a environment that is professional and does allow you to decenter work, or that does have like really good work boundaries and like really good work policies. The reason why I tell you guys this is because if this place that you work at fired you tomorrow, who would you become? What would your identity be? Your identity should not be, I am a person who works at this company. That's something that you just happen to do. It shouldn't be your identity. Maybe the skills that go behind the role are something that you do, but it's not exclusive to the company. Okay, you came into that job slaying, you're gonna leave that job slaying even harder if they did it right with you. Have boundaries with your workplace. That's a part of decentering work too, is knowing that work is a role. It's a position where you're offering a service. You can find another location to offer your service to, or to create transferable skills. Obviously, we all have things and money that we need. Okay, I know it's not a fairy tale land, but this is the truth with work. If you are going to operate from a detached place, if this job fired you tomorrow, who would you be? I don't know about you guys. In the past, I've lost maybe 2 jobs. And then when I graduated college, it really had me wondering who the hell was I and what was going on with my actual identity. And I sister snapped. That is when I sister snapped and I made Fleeksy. My advice to everybody in the chat, have something going on outside of work and after work. No, it doesn't have to be dating. It doesn't have to be a man, but it should be something that gives you enough identity, or that gives you enough narrative to form a sense of self that goes beyond your job. And the reason why this matters, I'm going to get personal. At the place that I was working at, Like, they told me this back in January of 2025. By the way, it's March 2025. In January of 2025, they told me that I was being position changed or like title changed from content manager to marketing associate. Mind you, all the tasks still the same, if not more for me. And when they told me that, my face was just straight panned, unemotionless, because I was like, okay, they could make me whatever they want in this building. Doesn't matter as long as I'm getting the same pay and I'm still going to be fleeksy the moment I walk out this door, because they can't take what I brought into this building. When they changed my title, I was like, okay, because I'm not one of those people who makes my work my identity. I'm not somebody who walks around with my chest all huffy and puffy like I'm a manager. And trust, don't you know those people who their entire personality changes once they get that manager title? If anything, y'all, I did the opposite. I like threw my head back and I was like, I'm free. I'm not someone's manager anymore. Yay. Like, I hated being a fucking manager. Not my personal vibe, but maybe it takes a very specific personality to lean into that role. But yeah, back to my point. They can't take from me what I arrived with, and they can't lessen the impact that I had, that I can document on paper. You don't have to be an ascended being for that. You just have to have an identity outside of work. You also have to be very like realistic with your situation. Nothing about everything else that I was doing changed. They just wanted to make themselves the only managers. That was the tea. It made me less of a consultant and more of a you do what we say you do, which was how I knew it was going downhill. And when I knew, oh my God, I need to start saving all my money because this is loud. My advice to everybody in the chat, especially to the people who feel like they're not quote unquote ascended, which by the way, I do not think I'm ascended. Do not let the work, the task, or the goals of the company consume you. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but like, depending on where you work, they could have had things that they needed done 20 years ago that they want you doing tonight on top of your daily responsibilities and your workflow, if one even exists in your environment. You will literally drive yourself insane with all of the shit that needs to be done that they're not paying other people to do. There's a reason why it feels like there's so many things that need to be done that never get done. It's because they're not hiring for it. It's not your job. Don't let that shit consume you. That's actually a symptom that they don't have enough support to meet their goals. And they're probably not going to meet their goals if you can't even meet your daily workflow. And here's another thing too. If you catch yourself being so overwhelmed and given a whole bunch of unreasonable, crazy timelines in a short amount of period, you in danger, girl. You know who this happens to? People who are about to get laid off and who they want to work twice as hard, twice as fast, so that they can do it sooner and save money on payroll. I swear to fucking God. I don't know who said it. It was like someone in the like tech industry said this about their engineering team, but they want their contractors to work 60-hour work weeks so that they can get in and out faster. So imagine if you centered work and you were like, oh my God, they want all these unreasonable, crazy things. And they want it in a time where like I would need to be working 10-hour days. Imagine if you actually showed the fuck up for 10-hour days when you're only getting paid for like 7 or 8. And then imagine they used it against you. Do not center work, okay? Do not, I repeat, do not center work. If you are in that situation, my advice to all of you is let the shit fall through the cracks. That's management's cue that they need to hire more people. They need to fix their workflow. And if you feel like you don't know the names and the positions and the titles and the what is what for what that looks like and what that is needed, like whatever's needed in that building to make you feel supported, if all you know is that you need help, like you just feel like you need help, that's okay, because that's actually not your job to know those things. They, as business leaders or people who have HR departments, know what that looks like and can do the research to support you, especially depending on your department or your grid or whatever you guys have set up. I remember being so confused why it felt like I wasn't getting what I needed It's a symptom of being exploited and being taken advantage of. And low key, like, you don't know these things, obviously, because that's not your position. You don't have the wherewithal to think about that. I'm feeling really anxious about work tomorrow, and I needed to remind myself to decenter work. I think the main important thing is to know that you are here right now in your bed, ready to go to sleep, ready to get rest. Don't make yourself feel guilty about getting rest because you think you're going to fix something about tomorrow. You guys, a lot of people don't know that they're doing the job of 3 to 5 people. And you'll be wondering why you're suddenly going feral on your coworkers or why you feel so depleted. Either you're working with people who all aren't doing the job and it's somehow falling on you, or they straight up don't have people doing the job and they're not supporting their actual needs to meet their goals. So it feels like you are on this never-ending hamster fucking wheel of duties and tasks that pile up and that make you seem like you don't follow through on your words because you can acknowledge that something is a good idea. No, you can't fit it into your fucking workflow. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry if you guys can relate to this. But something that happens when you are really busy and something that happens when you are centering work and you don't really notice the issues, and I noticed this with myself, I used to be like, wow, like my favorite part about my job is that I can show up, it'll be 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and then I'll look back up and it'll be 5 p.m. And you know why? Because time flies when you're doing the work of 2 to 3 people. It just does. Eventually though, that becomes a feeling of being pissed off and bored. Listen, any job that's working you like this to where they got you thinking it's normal to center work and they're playing into your OCD and your need to be a fixer people pleaser, they're playing into your trauma, they're taking advantage of you. Sorry, decenter work. I'm just going to keep going back to it. But yeah. Here's something that also happens when you're centering work. Here's another symptom that you're doing it. You try to decenter work through food, shopping, maybe even going on night outs with your friends, like drinking, dinners, maybe taking trips. I agree with these things to the extent that you shouldn't be getting all of your happiness from work. But sometimes, have you ever noticed that like when you don't have a job, you're content with just eating oven pizzas every single night, but suddenly you do get that job and now you need the $30 Uber Eats experience because you're one, too tired, too lazy, and you're justifying the fact that you make money so you can spend your money on that type of thing. The junk food becomes more frequent and it becomes more junky when you have a job because sometimes we use those types of tactics to decenter work. I also know that I was like for me, I personally was so fine with just air frying food. I had no qualms about just eating whatever I needed to eat just to like fill up my hole because I was like content with my life and food was just like get it in there and get it out. Yeah, junk food is a comfort to make up for the job. Sometimes you develop smoking and drinking habits that you didn't have before the job. For me, you guys, I never used to drink stress tea. I didn't even know what stress tea was. Now, I will keep it in my routine because I do enjoy the act of drinking tea. But like, I got back into smoking and I got back into stress tea because a lot was being asked of me, and low key, like, you do these things to escape. You feel like you're decentering work when you alter your reality. That's just the tea. Monica, hi. She says, I got laid off from my nightlife job. I'm so sorry, Monica, babe. I feel like we're living in Trump's economy. Also, now that I don't have a job, can I be political again? Or is that going to hurt me from getting another one? We're calling it the scrump economy. Valerie says, my past job glorified happy hours, which is like normal in the industry, but I'm not a heavy drinker, so that was not fun. Valerie, oh my God, somebody at your job has a drinking problem and they justified it and they made everybody else engaged. You know, drinkers love that. Drinkers love getting everybody, the true drinkers, they love corrupting others. Misery loves company. They don't want to drink alone. When I was centering work, I would shop to make all of the work seem worth it somehow. Sometimes, you guys, shopping for clothes is a survival tactic. You think that like it's gonna keep you low key or help you gray rock or change something about your treatment. It's not. It's been decided how they feel about you. They're showing you in real time. It's done. But you guys, hey, I centered work when I saw other people getting disrespected and I chose to stay, right? That's the other half of the tea, is that like I centered work by thinking that I was never going to get another job and Sometimes these are things that just happen, and I just need to make sure that I'm able to leave my job when my time comes to get disrespected. A part of decentering work and why it feels so weird for people to do and to talk about is because we live in America. I don't know if you guys ever read the book Rest is Resistance, but I'm about to pull some facts from that book right now, okay? These are not fleeksy original thoughts that you are about to listen to, but they are inspired by this book. There is this idea that because we are living in America and we came from the society that was built on slavery, that what we're experiencing in this current moment is productivity culture. And productivity culture is the idea that you work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and you're doing it all in the name of someone else's greater good. And by greater good, I mean their bank account. You have people working for wages that are barely livable, giving up almost all of their waking hours. There's a reason why it's called full-time job, right? It is the full half of your life. It is almost more than half of your life. You're probably spending more time with your coworkers than your family at that point. When you are living in a productivity-driven society, you're gonna still see those remnants in the culture. And a huge part of that culture is the fact that the job is expecting you to treat yourself like a tool of productivity and to not want to rest or to feel guilty about resting. It's like if you have a battle at work, you feel like you want to take that battle back into your home and you start throwing air punches. You let the fight consume you, right? You bring that fight everywhere you go after the fact. Like you bring it on your ride home. It's sitting in the passenger seat next to you, talking to you for the 30 minutes, like the 30 minutes there and back. Another part of like centering the fights, centering the battles. You're centering fixing a workplace instead of fixing your exit. This is the part of you where you decenter work and you realize that a job is a job, that you can get any job because what you're providing is a service and they're just accepting your service and you guys are in a deal for agreements. If you are focusing on fixing the relationships, bracing for impacts, or convincing yourself that you're not going to be fired, which by the way, you only need 1 or 2 signs to really confirm it. So if you have those 1 or 2 signs, it's happening. It's just either taking place in slow motion or it's going to come out of nowhere. You have to stop trying to fix your fucked up workplace. That's a huge part of decentering work. Stop trying to fix the fucked up workplace and start fixing your exit. That means start curating your resume, start looking at 3 to 5 roles that you can commit to, that you can make a few resumes for. Okay, I see so many messages in the chat. You guys, I'm trying to like not have to crazy edit this for YouTube. When you are having the scaries and you are living in this situation where you are centering work so much to the point that like you come home and you're paralyzed and all you can really do is think about the work. Apparently, like that can be you stuck in your fight or flight. They say that you need to look to the left and to the right and to do it again and again. And if you're like somebody who's watching me right now because you're scrolling on your phone and you just happen to stop here, scroll, stay for a little bit. The reason why doom scrolling gets you so locked in is because when you are stuck in fight or flight, you just look forward. You break out of that by looking to the left, looking to the right, and doing it back and forth, doing some up and downs too. Tapping your face, tapping your temples, your lips, your chin. Just doing things to stop you from disassociating. But yeah, so if you are this person who does have the scaries, if you're somebody who is centering work, if you're somebody who's getting a little feral at your coworkers because you feel like no one's doing anything and there's all these things that needed to be done 10 years ago that haven't got done and aren't getting done and are nowhere near to get done. And if you feel like you're stressed out and always reaching for a breath of air at your job, and maybe the moments that are toxic are far and few between because it works in abuse cycles and they can't be too horrible to you because they know that they have to keep you. Just know that everything is happening exactly as the manager of the establishment wants it to. That's exactly how it was designed to make you feel, because that's how you operate as a tool of productivity. Jeff Bezos said it himself. He wants his employees waking up terrified of the competition every morning. He wants his employees moving around and living in fear. Now, I know he said that about himself and trying to be better than who's next to him, but what they're really saying is think about your job after work. Feel it like you are in fight or flight mode. Don't work at night. Let your deadlines pass. Reveal the flaws in your underemployed environment by letting it all fail, by not working after work. Don't think that you need to bring your work outside of work. You don't need to integrate it into the meaning of your life, okay? This job, if it leaves you tomorrow, who would you be? Who would you become? You are you when you enter that job. You're going to be you when you left. And if that job did you right, they're leaving you with more experience than how you came in. If it's not doing that for you, you're already in a position to go. Okay, you can wrap it up. It's not happening anytime soon. Stop trying to fix a broken workplace. Fix your detachment and start fixing your exit. You do not need their approval. You do not need to know why they do things. You don't need to diagnose any of them. You don't need to live in the what's next and what's happening. Some people say that their job hunts take 8 months to 6 months. Sometimes that's happening when they're on the job. Sometimes they have a job that's underpaying them, that's not paying them their true wage because they're just working something that they need to work. Like these people aren't staying unemployed for 8 months to 6 months to 2 years. And they're like side hustling or they're doing things to get by. You have to start job hunting while you're on the job. You can be like me and you can have the most up resume at first. At least you know you're doing something wrong if you're not getting people responding to you or interviewing you. This is the part of it that can take 6 months to 2 years. The trial and the error and the strategy. So definitely start as soon as you possibly can. It's kind of annoying, and this is the most fucked up thing about toxic workplaces. While I want you to decenter work, unfortunately, if you're trying to get out of your specific toxic workplace, you do have to create a new personality that's themed around centering the job hunt. It's where those people are really bastardly for getting you to center not just work, but the fact that you need a new job. But anyways, here's how I would like to end this episode. Centering work is not normal. It's not. It's not normal. I'm going to reiterate what I said in the beginning. If you center work and if you are someone who feels like your butthole tightens up at the idea of not centering work, and you don't work in politics, and you're not a nurse, or you're not a surgeon, you don't work one of those jobs where they tell you, hey, you have to work 60-hour weeks, like Tesla, you're centering work from a place of people pleasing, and it's usually people that I've seen do this who are traumatized. It's a sign that you've been through some shit. I don't know what shit, but some shit. Not to do a wide blanket diagnosis, but it's the tea. But yeah, I leave you guys with this. Jobs are replaceable. Once again, you are providing a service. They are simply doing an exchange with you. My best thing that I could tell you to do, create a ChatGPT work personality that's just for work and preserve all of your true best versions of yourself for you. And here's another thing too. If you are still hell-bent on centering work, just know that you can't bring the best of you to a job if you're busy being them 24/7. It's all right though. We're free now. 100% I co-sign that your next chapter will be the best. Thank you. That's a high-key compliment. It is actually the best compliment I've ever gotten because I've been fired before and people did not talk to me like that when I was fired before. People didn't look at me like, you have options. They're like, you've been had options. I just got to move on with my life. All right, you guys, that is today's podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to hit the follow button if you're watching from Spotify. Leave a nice comment or leave 5 stars if you're watching on Apple because it does help me out and it helps spread Fleeksy supremacy. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to give me a subscribe there, all because it helps me out. I want to grow my followers, and moving forward, I want to try to do 1 episode a day now that I am #laid off. And yeah, if you're watching on Spotify Premium, every time I insert an ad in here, at least for now, apparently you guys don't get the ads. Bonus points if you're watching me from over there. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for tuning into today's podcast. Make sure to follow me everywhere on Fleeksy on everything, and I will see you guys later. Bye.